one of the most important speeches made by President Trump. He chose his 100-minute long address to appreciate Pakistan for its valuable counterterrorism operation. What made him appreciate Pakistan?
There was a Munich Security Conference, which is an annual feature in Munich. DG ISI General Asim Malik was there, and head of the CIA, US CIA was also there. And it has been reported now that they were told that we want this guy, and later there was intelligence exchange.
Can you identify some specific areas of possible mutual cooperation between US and Pakistan?
I think terrorism will remain an area of cooperation, with Afghanistan being a safe haven of terrorists of all kinds. US would need Pakistan's cooperation if you want to get that military hardware back or defeat the terrorists, and including the elements of Daesh.
Those political elements which harbored hope that President Trump will directly intervene and influence Pakistan's judiciary to rescue Imran Khan. Do you think they will continue their efforts, or do you think now this was the last nail in the coffin in terms of their hopes from the Trump administration?
Knowing Mr. Khan, whose ego is higher than Himalaya and deeper than oceans, I am not too hopeful. This desire and hope that Trump administration will intervene in their favor has failed miserably. People are not angry to come out on streets, and the narrative of Mr. Khan is dying.
With a new episode of our regular weekly program, The Weekend, I am Muhammad Ali.
And I am Murtaza Solangi.
So Solangi Sahab, we are, as a Chinese proverb says, living in interesting times, and every week seems to become more interesting than the previous one. The world witnessed some very interesting developments during this week. And I want to start off by some of the most significant global events which drew world attention, and will ask for your comments and analysis on that. And I think the relations between US and Western Europe continue to deteriorate with every passing hour, it seems. While the US president made headline on V News this morning, when we carried the headline that he has offered global nuclear disarmament to China and Russia, while he acknowledges the largest nuclear weapon stockpile is possessed by US and Russia respectively, but he noticed that China is also catching up, and these are very dangerous weapons. If all big three powers can disarm, then perhaps the world will become a safer place. So that is one very interesting call from President Trump. And in response, you've noticed that France has offered nuclear umbrella or extended deterrence to Europe, that France is willing to provide security to the European countries which have been abandoned by the US security commitment. That's another aspect. And we have noticed that Germany, France, and Britain seem to be more than keen to increase their security role towards European security than many other countries. Anything you want to say on these few developments before we proceed further?
Yes, sir. Let's start with this denuclearization mantra by Trump. At the face value, it sounds wonderful. It's kind of a music to the ears of peaceniks around the globe. But I think we should be a little careful about this statement and try to understand. Mr. Trump is under attack not only from within United States because of his policies, but he has become a bad guy in the global eye, in the media, because of his rhetoric and his policies. So this announcement or these comments paint him a dove, a peaceful person, something that would earn him a lot of goodwill around the globe. He has already desired to get the Nobel Prize for Peace, just like President Obama. And he has actually cribbed about it, that how come they have got it and I haven't. So this is only for, I think, public posturing. It's a good goal and a good dream to have a nuclear-free world. But we know that it's not just United States and France and United Kingdom and China who have the nuclear weapons. Our eastern neighbor, India, started it first in 1974, and Pakistan had no other option. The illegitimate state of Israel has nuclear weapons that they have not declared. Iran is fast developing. So with multilateral forums dying down and with a big hammer, Trump demolishing those multilateral forums, how would you go about denuclearization is beyond my subject and actually falls within your neck of the woods. So I would let you chime on it before we go towards other elements like trade wars and European Union initiatives and France doing what. Let me hear from you on this denuclearization mantra of Trump.
Definitely, I've tried to understand and study and write about it for past 3 decades. So I'll briefly comment that as a realist, I agree with you that it's a dream of the world to achieve permanent peace and abolish war. But unfortunately, in the 50 centuries old human recorded history, war seems to be a constant and peace seems to be a temporary episode between two conflicts. That is the unfortunate, tragic reality of human history. Secondly, such calls have been made previously as well. When United Nations was formed, let me share with you and the audience that Russia offered the first nuclear disarmament idea under Baruch Plan immediately after the establishment of United Nations. And it was the US. And there was no nuclear power, no nuclear weapon state at that point in time, except the US. And US did not accept that idea. And that eventually, led to the development of nuclear weapons by so many states, some driven by status like India, and some are driven by security compulsions like Pakistan. And different countries have different motives, but the nuclear weapons continue to remain a reality, a very important reality of international politics, which is so significant that when Soviet Union became Russia and it broke away, so many states broke away from Soviet Union. The weapons were returned to Russia, and one country which had the world's third largest nuclear weapons arsenal was Ukraine at that point in time. Not many people know that, and it returned its nuclear weapons to Russia, and it unilaterally disarmed all its nuclear weapons. And what happened after that? Russia, which offered its security and defense assistance, itself occupied part of its territory. And today, after the US offered hundreds of billions of dollars of military assistance to Ukraine against Russia, is demanding that Ukraine must pay back in kind. So that is a truly bitter lesson of history for those countries who give up their nuclear weapons and are left at the mercy of the brutality of world power and world politics. But let me ask you about your perspective on the most interesting and important developments taking place in European Union. Do you see Mr. Trump's declining security commitment towards Western Europe is actually strengthening European Union or dividing it?
Well, I don't think he is dividing Europe by declining declining security arrangement that has existed for 7+ decades, is actually giving a reality check to Europe that going forward, United States will not play that global policeman's role, and they would not deploy their resources on providing them security against Russia. So the reality has dawned on European Union, including big powers like UK, France, and Germany. And you have seen they have already announced major plans to boost their investments and expenditure, the part of GDP on defense. So it's only the matter of time.
But let me briefly interrupt you to ask a follow-up and a somewhat interesting question. Is this not exactly what Trump demanded? That you can and you should contribute more for European defense. Why should US taxpayers bear the burden of your security?
Well, that's true. But that also means that US will abandon the previous role in global politics as the sole superpower. So while United States has made the European Union realize that at the same time, the Europeans will realize that they would need their own security umbrella, and they would not depend upon US anymore. So that also means that in future global conflicts, like in Afghanistan, if you saw in 2001, when US decided to invade Afghanistan, and 2 years later in Iraq, United States was able to cobble together a big NATO presence both in Iraq and Afghanistan, 28 countries in Afghanistan. So that also means that United States too will be on its own in future conflicts.
I
So
think that's a very important point, and let me, I think, expand briefly further that by being more demanding towards its Western allies, US is risking that in future conflict scenarios, it will be on its own, and the NATO partners will be less than forthcoming and willing to offer their assistance and cooperation in such conflicts. But there's another very interesting dimension, which is the economic dimension of defense. That once Europe realizes that they cannot depend on the US for security, that also will mean that they will be less than keen to purchase advanced US weapons. And they will prefer to build advanced weapons for their army, air force, and navy within Europe through the European defense industry as well, which is evident from the rising stock prices of the European defense industry. That will tantamount to declining sale revenue and profits for the US industry as well.
so that means it will hurt the traditional military industrial complex of United States, and that will hurt Americans too. That will not only hurt the big producers of the military industrial complex, but there are American workers who work in those hardware units where they provide that hardware to the world, and there would be even competition in terms of the military hardware and software. If United States can sell or promise to sell F-35 to India, it will open up opportunities for other countries also, not to only depend upon United States for military hardware. Pakistan already buys a lot of military hardware and software from China. I'm sure you have more grip on that, but this will also help European producers of the military hardware. Spending more on defense will definitely deprive Europeans from many social welfare benefits in the short term. But if Europe can carve out and work out new security arrangement with Russian Federation and even China, then eventually it will pay off to Europeans and it will hurt United States in the long term.
Indeed. And but let me ask you that you heard perhaps one of the most important speeches made by President Trump in his second presidency, which he delivered at the US Congress. And while he castigated its allies and partners alike, shocked partners and challengers alike, he chose his 100-minute long address to appreciate Pakistan for its valuable counterterrorism operation. What do you make of that? What went behind, what made him appreciate Pakistan?
Well, I was not expecting it, honestly. I was expecting that State of the Union address, which is a joint session of Senate and House of Representatives with important players sitting in the House, including Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and other high officials. Pakistan's name will prop up and in positive terms. That's quite a shocker, even for PTI USA and their lobbyists, including Zalmay Khalilzad and company. But more than that, it was shocking for PTI at home and pleasant surprise for the current Shehbaz Sharif government. You know the background, what happened. This terrorist, Sharifullah, who also has another alias of Jafar, was one of those terrorists who were in jail, arrested in 2019 by the previous Afghan government. And when Taliban took over, they opened the gates of all prisons and let all terrorists out. And he was instrumental in that August 26, 2021 attack on Kabul airport at that famous Abbey Gate, where US were pulling out, and they were also transporting some of the Afghans who were trying to go because they had worked with US. So they had been looking for these terrorists, including this terrorist Sharifullah. Turns out that last month, February 14, 15, and 16, there was a Munich Security Conference, which is an annual feature in Munich. DG ISI General Asim Malik was there, and head of the CIA, US CIA was also there. And it has been reported now that they were told that we want this guy, and later there was intelligence exchange. Pakistan already has a anti-terrorism treaty with US since 9/11. So Pakistan, that's being hurt by terrorists on a daily basis, including the recent attack in Banu. In that global spirit, it was a good opportunity for new Pakistani government. They delivered, and it had to be acknowledged. So it was acknowledged by President Trump, whose speech is not just off the cuff. It's a properly written speech of the prompter. So the entire Trump administration acknowledged this. After this speech, you heard Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, everybody on cue pushing out Pakistan's praise. So I think this statement has angered not only PTI, but also our eastern neighbor, Mr. Modi. It's quite remarkable. But I think we should not be too overexcited about this praise, because Trump, who's under attack at home and abroad, has to please his home constituency, the blue-collar workers, his voters, who are beginning to get angry over the impact of tariffs, because tariffs would only make those products that Americans use more expensive, from a cup of coffee to a glass of wine to fruits and vegetables and a lot of things from Canada and Mexico and elsewhere. So we should not be overexcited over this praise, and we should keep our head down and look for positive avenues of engagement with the US, while Mr. Trump is focused on Ukraine war and dealing with China and European Union.
So, can you identify some specific areas of possible mutual cooperation between US and Pakistan that should interest President Trump and help address some of the challenges that Pakistan faces?
I think terrorism will remain an area of cooperation, with Afghanistan being a safe haven of terrorists of all kinds, where Trump himself has said that we want that military hardware back, where Al-Qaeda is there, where Daesh is there, where TTP is there, and other terrorists are there, they are a common threat to US. So US would need Pakistan's cooperation if you want to get that military hardware back or defeat the terrorists, and including the elements of Daesh. You would need Pakistan's cooperation. But Pakistan must not just solely focus on anti-terrorism cooperation. I think Pakistan can offer a lot, including rare earth elements that Trump is seeking from Ukraine and elsewhere, which is the new gold, the new oil, petroleum, or whatever you call it, because all future technologies depend on these earth metals, and Pakistan has a quite rich deposits of these rare earth elements, not only lithium, but other elements in Gilgit-Baltistan, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Balochistan, besides gold and other. So I think Pakistan should diversify its relationship with United States, including these rare earth elements and emerging technologies. There's a good article by Uzair Yunus on that in Dawn. I think our viewers can read that and get educated.
So what you are arguing, Murtaza, is that besides geography and security, Pakistan should also leverage its rare earth minerals in order to revive its mining industry, and also offer an incentive, a tangible incentive to the Trump administration for mutual cooperation, foreign investment, and export revival.
Exactly, because Trump is focused on economy. Whatever he makes of US economy, we will see in future. But it's clear that US is focused on geo-economics more than geostrategy.
So when we hear about Pakistan's stance, and you've heard it and you've articulated it for a very long time, that Pakistan has suffered perhaps more than any other country as a result of terrorism. And a recent report also endorses this view. Pakistan has lost over 80,000 of its citizens, both in uniform and civilians. Pakistan has suffered a loss of more than $126 billion to its economy and infrastructure. Do you think leveraging Pakistan's rare earth minerals mining industry can help address some of these challenges and compensate for these damages, and also address some of the economic challenges that Pakistan has faced beyond the economic relevance that seems to be reviving under Trump administration?
Indeed, but for that to happen, we have to make our regulatory framework more easy and cut the red tape. Some important steps have already been taken in terms of SIFC, but we would also need to defeat terrorism in those provinces, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, because if the security situation is grave, then the extraction and mining would be difficult. So both these things are included in this portfolio. Naturally, Balochistan and KP are two different provinces, and the drivers for terrorism in both provinces are different. They might have some regional and global support to both areas, terrorism-infected areas, but the reasons and drivers for both provinces may be different.
So let me ask you a last question for today's program. Trump has appreciated Pakistan, and Pakistan is optimistic about closer, broad-based partnership under Trump administration. What does this mean for Pakistan's domestic politics? Do you think the opponents of Pak-US relations, both externally and internally, and those political elements which harbored hope that President Trump will directly intervene and influence Pakistan's judiciary to rescue Imran Khan, do you think they will continue their efforts, or do you think now this was the last nail in the coffin in terms of their hopes from the Trump administration?
Well, they will keep trying to avail all the avenues that they can. But this desire and hope that Trump administration will intervene in their favor has failed miserably. And it's their bad luck that whenever an opportunity did arise, it did arise actually connecting the current Islamabad administration with Trump, and it created a positive opportunity for both the Trump administration and Shehbaz Sharif government. And you saw soon after the speech of Mr. Trump in State of the Union, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif did issue his statement pledging to continue that support. So what other options do they have? One option is that they recognize and realize the suicidal policies they have been following. But knowing Mr. Khan, whose ego is higher than Himalaya and deeper than oceans, I am not too hopeful. PTI as a party, even all groups, they realize the suicidal politics of Mr. Khan, but they are hamstrung. And while they are in contact with all stakeholders in Pakistan, we are not too sure what Mr. Khan will do in future. But he is isolated. No major political party, including JUI, are willing to partner with them to launch any agitation now or after Eid. It doesn't seem feasible. So, they would have to realize that there is no hope in creating any mass agitation. The economy is improving. People are not angry to come out on streets, and the narrative of Mr. Khan is dying.
I think that's a very insightful analysis, Mr. Solangi. And as a parting shot, let me share with you. Yesterday, I interviewed a mutual friend and a leading expert of South Asian affairs in the US, Mervyn Birnbaum, who was director of policy at the State Department during 9/11, and that was the point person in navigating the US-Pakistan relations, particularly in the counterterrorism and intelligence domain. And he clearly and unambiguously mentioned in this space that Pakistan's security, intelligence, and counterterrorism cooperation is enduring. It has continued, it is continuing, and it will continue. So this indicates that the assumption by those political opponents that Mr. Trump has an anti-establishment agenda must be disappointed, because the US establishment has very close cooperation with Pakistani establishment, and now the US president is also appreciating and wants to improve relations with Pakistan. So both the political leadership of the US and establishment value their relationship with Pakistan. So that's something very interesting. So viewers, thank you so much for joining us again at this program. Don't forget to share your feedback and comments and keep watching this program. Thank you so much for joining.